The air hung heavy with the smell of stale coffee. The room was a mess, a chaotic blend of empty coffee cups and scattered papers, each one a testament to the countless hours spent in pursuit of a dream. James hunched over his keyboard, eyes bloodshot, fingers flying across the keys. He had been at it for hours, lost in a world of notes and rhythms, trying to capture the elusive melody that danced just out of reach. His small studio, lit only by the glow of the computer screen, was a testament to countless nights like this, nights where the world outside ceased to exist and all that mattered was the music. Nights spent chasing a melody, a feeling, a sound that haunted his waking hours. It was a relentless pursuit, driven by a passion that consumed him entirely. He was obsessed, driven by a force he couldn't quite understand. It was as if the music had a life of its own, calling to him, urging him to bring it into existence.
I'm not just making music, I'm pouring my soul into it. Every note, every chord is a piece of me, a reflection of my innermost thoughts and feelings. Every note is a reflection of my deepest emotions, my fears, my hopes, my dreams. It's a language that transcends words, a way to communicate the inexpressible. I crave to create something real, something that will move people, something that will matter. I want my music to touch hearts, to inspire, to make a difference.
But the harder he chased this elusive goal, the further away it seemed to slip. It was like trying to catch a shadow always just beyond his grasp. He knew he had talent. He could feel it in the depths of his being. But talent alone wasn't enough. It was a spark, but he needed a flame. He needed inspiration, a spark to ignite his creativity and push him beyond his self-imposed limitations. He needed something or someone to breathe life into his music. He needed someone who understood the language of his soul, someone who could hear the music in his heart. He needed a muse, someone who could see the world through his eyes and feel the emotions that fueled his art. As he stared out the window, lost in thought, he wondered if he would ever find that missing piece. The muse that would complete his symphony, the inspiration that would turn his dreams into reality. And then, in a moment of clarity, he realized that the muse he sought was not a person, but a part of himself. The part that believed in the power of his music, the part that knew that his passion and dedication would one day pay off. With renewed determination, he turned back to his keyboard, ready to pour his heart into his music once more, because he knew that the haunting melody he chased was already within him, waiting to be set free. He first saw her on a rainy Tuesday night. She was singing in a smoky jazz club, her voice weaving magic into the air. Her name was Elle, and she possessed a raw, undeniable talent that captivated James from the first note. Her voice wasn't just beautiful, it was soulful, carrying the weight of 1,000 stories.
I was mesmerized. I watched her every move, every gesture, every inflection of her voice. I felt a connection to her music, a resonance that went beyond mere appreciation. It was as if she were singing directly to me, her voice unlocking emotions I didn't know I possessed.
That night, a fire ignited within James. He knew he had to write for her. He had to create music that would do justice to her extraordinary talent. She became his muse, the inspiration he desperately needed. Her voice echoed in his mind, urging him to push his boundaries, to create something truly special. Weeks later, James found himself standing nervously outside a luxurious recording studio. The building loomed large, its sleek glass facade reflecting his anxious expression. He had spent countless nights dreaming of this moment, rehearsing every word he would say, every note he would play. Yet now that he was here, his heart pounded in his chest and his mind raced with doubts. He had managed to secure a meeting with Elle, a feat that seemed impossible just days ago. Elle was a renowned artist, known for her unique voice and eclectic style. She was a legend in the music industry, and James had idolized her for as long as he could remember. Getting this meeting was a dream come true, but it also felt like the most daunting challenge he had ever faced. He clutched his demo CD tightly, his hands slick with sweat. This CD contained his heart and soul, the culmination of years of hard work and passion. Every track was meticulously crafted, each note carefully chosen to complement Elle's voice. He hoped that she would see the potential in his music, that she would understand the depth of his admiration and the sincerity of his intentions. This was his chance, his opportunity to share his music with the woman who had inspired it. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He knew that this moment could change his life forever, for better or for worse. He had to make it count. The door swung open, and Ella stood before him. She was even more striking in person, her presence commanding the room. Her eyes, a deep shade of blue, seemed to pierce through him, making him feel both exposed and captivated. She was even more striking in person, her eyes holding a depth that hinted at a complex soul. There was an air of mystery about her, a sense that she had lived 1,000 lives and seen 1,000 things. James felt a mixture of awe and intimidation as he stood before her, but her expression was guarded, her demeanor distant. It was clear that she was used to people seeking her approval, and she had built walls to protect herself from the constant barrage of admiration and flattery. James wondered if he would be able to break through those walls to show her that his intentions were genuine.
Hi, I'm James. I've written some music inspired by your voice. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He held out the CD, hoping that she would take it, that she would give him a chance.
James stumbled through his introduction, his carefully rehearsed words sounding clumsy and awkward. He had spent hours practicing what he would say, but now, in front of Elle, his mind went blank. He could only hope that she would see past his nervousness and recognize the passion behind his words. Ella listened patiently as James explained his vision, his desire to create music, specifically for her voice. He spoke of the inspiration he had drawn from her previous work, the way her voice had moved him and driven him to create something new and unique. He poured his heart out, hoping that she would understand the depth of his admiration and the sincerity of his intentions. But as he spoke, he sensed her skepticism. Her eyes, though attentive, held a hint of doubt. James could feel his confidence waning, but he pressed on, determined to make her see the potential in his music. Her silence was deafening when he finished his nervous pitch. The room seemed to grow colder, the air thick with tension. James waited, his heart pounding in his chest, for her to say something, anything. Finally, she spoke, her voice cool and measured. There was a calmness to her tone that belied the intensity of the moment. James held his breath, waiting for her verdict.
Your music, it's not really my style. Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He had poured his heart and soul into his music, and to hear her dismiss it so casually was devastating. But he knew that this was just the beginning. He had to find a way to win her over, to show her that his music was worth her time and attention.
And action.
Despite her initial hesitation, Elle agreed to give James a chance. She had seen many aspiring musicians come and go, but there was something different about James. His passion was palpable and his determination was unwavering. Elle couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility to guide him, to help him unlock his full potential. She saw a spark in him, a raw talent that, while unpolished, held potential. It was this potential that intrigued her, that made her believe that with the right guidance, James could become something extraordinary. She envisioned a future where his music would touch hearts and inspire minds, but their collaboration was far from easy. The creative process was fraught with tension and disagreements. Elle's experience in the polished world of professional recording often clashed with James's more impulsive, emotionally driven approach. Their sessions were a battleground of ideas, each trying to assert their vision. Elle, used to the polished world of professional recording, clashed with James's more impulsive, emotionally driven approach. She was meticulous, demanding perfection in every note, while James thrived on spontaneity and raw emotion. This difference in their creative philosophies often led to heated arguments and frustration. James found himself working harder than ever before. He was determined to prove himself, to show Elle that he was worthy of her time and effort. He spent countless hours in his studio, experimenting with different sounds and melodies, trying to capture the essence of what Elle envisioned. He spent sleepless nights in his studio trying to translate Ella's vision into music. The pressure was immense and the weight of expectation bore down on him. He knew that this was his chance to make a mark, to create something truly special, but with each passing day the doubts began to creep in. He experimented with different sounds, different instruments, different rhythms, desperate to find the perfect combination that would resonate with her. He tried everything he could think of, pushing the boundaries of his creativity. But no matter what he did, it never seemed to be enough.
It's missing something.
Ella's feedback was brutally honest, often leaving James feeling defeated. Her words, though meant to push him to be better, sometimes felt like a dagger to his heart. He began to question his abilities, wondering if he would ever be able to meet her high standards.
It's not you.
Her words cut deep, forcing James to confront his own insecurities as a musician. He had always believed in his talent, but now, faced with Elle's relentless critique, he began to doubt himself. The fear of failure loomed large, and he wondered if he would ever be able to create something worthy of her voice. He began to doubt himself, his talent, his ability to ever create anything worthy of her voice. The once bright spark of inspiration was now dimmed by the weight of expectation. He felt lost, unsure of his path, and the music that once flowed so freely now seemed out of reach.
Maybe you're just not good enough. Maybe you'll never be good enough.
The weight of expectation bore down on him, heavier than ever before. He knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but he also knew that he couldn't give up. Deep down, he still believed in his dream, and he was determined to prove to himself and to Elle that he was capable of greatness.